Tires, start your engine!
It's MRN Motorsports Monday, the place for the latest news and loudest opinions, direct from the guys at the track. Presented by Outback Steakhouse. This program is rated VNGSN and may contain scenes of verbal nonsense and graphic shenanigans. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oscar, my baloney has a first name.
Today's episode is brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Pace car is on.
Here's Woody Kane.
Everyone knows your name, Woody.
And Joey Meyer.
I forgot I was Joey. I'm Spotter. Sorry. First problem solved. Nice job.
Welcome to another edition of Motorsports Monday presented by Outback Steakhouse. Woody Kane and Joey Meyer with you after Speed Weeks is in the books. And Joey, we saw the tweet from Dale Earnhardt Jr. shoveling dollar bills into a furnace. And for 3 races, we saw quite a few incidents on the track.
Yeah, Speed Weeks this year was a little bit of a misnomer. There wasn't a lot of speed for a lot of laps as track cleanup was underway in all 3 series. Just an unusual weekend. We've seen these anomalies before. It had nothing to do with our new rules and stages and sponsors. They got a lot of TV time, the cleanup crew did, but it really just came down to a fact of it was hard racing. Guys made mistakes, and it didn't matter whether the rookies had the yellow bumpers on their from the rookies didn't make the mistakes. It was a series veterans making mistakes, but in the end, we had all 3 series. Not one of the 3 series had 20 cars on the lead lap at the checkered flag.
And I think most of them at the end of the race, there was a stat that only 3 cars or only 5 cars were not involved in some kind of incident in their respective races.
You know, and again, there was specifically no reason why this happened. Again, we can talk about a rules package change in the Xfinity Series that may have caused some wrecks. With Truck Series ran the exact same car. The Cup Series ran the exact same car. It was just one of those weekends where it was a full moon style weekend where all 3 series had problems.
Kurt Busch wins the Daytona 500, the first for him after being the bridesmaid 3 times, and his crew chief, Tony Gibson, goes to victory lane. The Daytona native finally pays one off in front of the hometown fans. Ryan Reed wins amongst the big dogs in the Xfinity Series, and Kaz Grala, give a holla, wins in the Camping World Truck Series. He will be joining us on the program today. We'll do all that and break it down from Speed Weeks at Daytona. I'm Woody, he's Joey. We'll see you right after this.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice, Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Ever wish your kid came with an instruction manual? I'm behavioral therapist James Lehman, and I'll show you how to change your child's behavior now with the Total Transformation, the program that helps stop defiance, backtalking, lying, acting out in school, even problems with ADD and ADHD. There's no screaming, no fighting, no frustration. Your child will listen to you again. I guarantee it.
Change your child's behavior now with the Total Transformation. Call now. 1-800-406-2945. 1-800-406-2945.
1 to go. The white flag is flying at Daytona. Who has enough fuel to get that car back around?
Kurt Busch trying to go to the outside. Blaney looking to go 3 wide up the middle. It's Kurt Busch for the lead on the backstretch.
Busch all by himself at the front of the field, but will he make it back around? 3 car lengths over Kyle Larson and A.J. Allmendinger.
He's never won before at Daytona, a former series champion. He will fix that today, winning a 59th edition of the Great American Race.
Because it's so...
Welcome back to Motorsports Monday. Kurt Busch celebrates in victory lane at Daytona International Speedway, now a Daytona 500 champion. And we need to mention that fine folks at Outback Steakhouse, our sponsor here on Motorsports Monday, are doing Bloomin' Monday today. Go by and ask for that bloomin' onion. They're doing it not because Kevin Harvick had a top 10 finish. He didn't.
He did not.
Right.
No.
They're just doing it to celebrate the start of the season. What a bunch of nice folks.
Shout out to Tony Raines. Tony Raines' first race as a spotter with Kurt Busch. And I know for a fact that they spent extra time during the week and weekend going over tape and talking about what Kurt wants. Kurt's spotter, Rick Corelli, went to Eric Jones' camp to spot for him, and Tony Raines, who was associated with another team last year, came in to be Kurt's spotter. So not only did Kurt get his first restrictor plate race win ever, the Daytona 500.
Yeah, just a big one, yeah.
But Tony Raines got plugged into that position, was recruited, was free agent, if you will, and comes over, and those two to get together. Tony Old Man Gibson from DEI's fame, Jay Ganeri, a bunch of old DEI 8-car guys that were associated with Dale Jr. for a number of years were associated with that team, capping off a fantastic win.
Just as an aside, you mentioned spotters shuffling around. How does that process work when a driver needs a new guy for whatever reason?
You know, a lot of
to get that new guy.
You know, a lot of times what you do is you go to your current spotter and say, hey, do you have any recommendations? And he'll put a list together, and then that driver will actually go and grab audio to be able to listen and see what technique or what style he may like. And then it works from there. If there's somebody that else, you know, if Rick Corelli came to me and said, hey, do you have an idea who Kurt Busch might like? We put a list together. But the veterans on the roof kind of guide ideas, not really make those choices, but you definitely guide.
Here's some guys who might fit with what you like.
Exactly right.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, let's start right in with the Daytona 500 then. Or as a matter of fact, this was a race where it looked like it was going to be a little calmer, at least at first, than we saw in the Camping World Truck Series or the Xfinity Series, but by the end of it, not so much.
I was asked before the race if I thought the Daytona 500 was going to be run like the truck race on Friday and the Xfinity race on Saturday. I said no, I didn't see it happening because we didn't have a rules package change. We didn't have a bunch of rookie drivers with yellow bumpers running around. This was a seasoned veteran class of field with the same package. It had no reason, no rhyme or reason for this to be a wreck fest. Boy, was I wrong.
Well, so then I saw a lot of the social media, and I'm sure you did as well, of people saying, well, this would have never happened if it hadn't have been for these stages, almost like the end of a Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Had nothing to do with the stages because it was in between stages where we were off. We were pitting when we had to anyways. There were a fuel segment or a fuel run was roughly 45 laps. The segment stage lengths were 60. So we were having to pit, and these cautions and accidents were happening even when we had to pit. It had nothing to do with the stages. So we can throw the conspiracy theories out without the stages.
Oh, man.
We were wrecking regardless. There were simple mistakes made by seasoned veterans. And again, it's an anomaly. We've seen it before. It's not the first time we've seen major crashes with seasoned veterans at a restrictor plate race, but it was an unusual one.
Now, you mentioned the stages and the pit strategy there, but we did see some who were a little bit earlier than maybe we had expected. The Gibbs cars in particular, and then Joey Logano, although I think his was related to an on-track problem, right, or a tire problem or something?
Yeah, he actually had a loose nut on a wheel hat that prevented the tire from being tight correctly, is what my understanding is. But it was
under his normal pit
exactly
stop,
right.
Yeah.
So he came down by himself. At a restrictor plate race, you never want to pit on your own, and he had to come down pit road and fix that problem, and then was able to contend for the win there at the end.
Yeah, because he picked up the field and was technically on the tail end of the lead lap and needed a caution at that point.
Well, and that's where the Blue Oval family came into play, because it was Kevin Harvick and the guys like Brad Keselowski who stayed lined up behind Joey, and were able to. Joey was fast enough to stay in front of them, but there was never an effort to go by him. And we saw that later on in the race, too, when Stenhouse got off sequence. Kevin Harvick picked up the tail bumper of Ricky Stenhouse before the stage length of the caution came out, and Ricky was able to make up that lap.
Now,
as well.
is that something where you guys are rah-rah and all us Ford guys got to stick together, or is it more of if the circumstances work out, then we'll help each other if we can?
We've seen it very, the strength in numbers really has been demonstrated well over the years by the Toyota camp. You've seen two different teams with the Furniture Rows and the Gibbs and so forth really line well. Chevrolet and Ford's taken notice of that. And Ford did a really good job during practice of going to Stewart-Haas and Team Penske and whoever else wanted to participate in the Roush racing guys and get us aligned in practice. And we saw the alliance work during the race as long as it really didn't have to do with, I'm still trying to beat you. But it didn't, in that certain situation, it was really a matter of clicking off some laps. So when Joey came out on his own, they were able to pick him up, keep him on the lead lap. When Ricky Stenhouse came out on his own, same thing, same scenario happened. You understand if that's a different manufacturer, you're there to cut. You're there to
get that guy and stomp
right.
him down if you can.
But you're carrying that blue oval of Ford that we're so proud to carry as a teammate of the Stewart-Haas Racing and Roush Racing, and we were able to pick up those guys and keep them on the lead lap.
Yeah.
And later on, it played out.
It sure did. And one other thing to mention as well, the points are out, and now because of the stage racing, the numbers might not look like we would expect or would have seen in previous years. You have points for the duels in there. You have points for winning a stage or finishing top 10 in a stage. You can carry those points through the season now to help, and playoff points for guys who won a stage. So it's the points numbers may not look like you might expect, or like we're used to.
You know, this time last year, not only was it 2016, but we were on a different point system. Brad Keselowski finishes 27th. We normally would be right around 27th in points. Because of the two different stages and the associated points with them, we're 12th in points. So it's
and that's why you're smiling.
Well, it's not that we tried.
After everything that happened.
That's exactly right. We didn't try to have a good points day because we're not really trying to have a good points day. We're trying to win the stages and competing. And we saw a last lap pass for top 5 positions on one of the stages to gain more points. So we take a 27th place finish. We're 12th in points. You simply walk away happier because of that.
All right, let's move on now to the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And Ryan Reed, how about that? Gets his second victory at Daytona. And the one thing that jumped out to me about this, Joey, you mentioned the young guys, and there were some who made some mistakes along the way. Ryan Reed is considered one of those younger guys, but he does know how to win at Daytona. He's done it before, and to me it seemed like that led him to make some proper moves that put him in the right spot at the end.
Again, another good shout out to Ryan Reed's spotters, Mike Herman, longtime racer here in the local short track. Won several,
yeah, we used to cover his races out at Concord.
Several championships, so a really good racer on the roof is guiding Ryan Reed around that track. Him and I stood next to each other for the races. Again, the Ford Alliance we tried to maintain all night long, and there we were with a couple laps to go, 2 Fords on the front row. Ryan made the proper moves, picked the right lane, which was unusual because he actually picked the outside lane. Okay, so that came from his spotter, Mike Herman, who chose the outside lane to break up the RCR teammates. That's why he's in the outside lane. The Dillon kid is behind Brad
Not
Keselowski.
because he thought it was going to necessarily be faster.
Nope, he was trying to split them up because he knew the teammates would work harder to try to pass him.
And would stick together and be able to gang up on him.
Unfortunately, the 3 cars lined up behind the 22. It runs out of gas. The outside line rolls. 2 laps later, Ryan Reed's in victory lane.
And how about this? All he did was beat some guys like Casey Kane, Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski to take that checkered flag, his second at Daytona.
Casey, looking for his first victory in the Xfinity Series in a number of years, drove
he was strong.
Excellent race all day long, had that 88 from Junior Motorsports up front. Those guys were really proud because it was one of the cars that came home that they could still run again. We're talking about brand new chassis over at Junior Motorsports for 4 of their cars over there, and one of them's going to go to the junkyard at Dale Jr.'s.
Yeah, and I thought for a long time, speaking of Junior Motorsports, it appeared to me, just eyeballing it, that Elliott Sadler may have had the strongest car in the Xfinity race for
and again,
at least a chunk of the time.
Very good contender for the top 3 series. Got involved in an unfortunate bump with the Dillon.
From the lead.
That's it, from the lead, in the lead. So normally staying out front is where you want to be. Riding around back, guys used to do that and then get involved in wrecks, and now we want to stay out front. We saw several accidents happen from the front top 2 or 3 rows.
So the similar situation here in terms of the point standings, Ryan Reed leads it, Brendan Gaughan, based on some stronger runs in those stages, now is second in the standing. Elliott Sadler, despite crashing because he won, 2 of the segments, is now 3rd overall in the standing. Scott Lagasse Jr., Matt Tifft, and Dakota Armstrong tied for the 4th spot.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting concept with the stages because, again, you walk away after having a wreck. Walking away at the end of the day, which we're all trying to win a championship. That's what we did at Daytona. We all get rings and cool hats and trophies, but we're all looking forward to Homestead when the playoffs are ending and we can stand in victory lane as the champion of our series. So at the end, when we walk away from Daytona and you finish a really bad finish, but your points day is okay, you do breathe a little sigh of relief.
Now, I thought we weren't supposed to say I had a great points day anymore. I thought that was supposed to be gone. Is it back now?
It's back, but it's not because we attempted it that way. Because now you used to run around 3rd or 4th in the old day trying to just say, okay, I'm in a comfortable spot here. Now it's about going out there and grabbing those trees, grabbing the low-hanging fruit off the apples and the pecans and trying to get as many as you can. And then if something happens into the race, you don't feel so bad. But if you still have positive stage lengths, then the 3rd time around when you grab the checkered flag, you have all the points. So it's a really big gain.
It's like that old game, We Have All of Your Points, right? That old video game. All right, we've got a big show coming up still here on Motorsports Monday. The Camping World Truck Series winner, Kaz Grala, gets his first victory. He joins us on the other side of the break. Stick around.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
I'm Steve Post, co-host of MRN's Wing Nation, Join Aaron Evernham and me every Tuesday at noon Eastern on MRN.com and on the MRN app. And join Ashley Stremme and me on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV. We talk to the biggest names in sprint cars and give you the latest news and race results from dirt tracks around the country. MRN's Wing Nation on MRN.com, the MRN app, and MAV TV.
After more than 1 million hours of development, the truck of the future has arrived. The new Cascadia from Freightliner, inspired by science, driven by passion. It's loaded with driver-focused improvements, such as noise abatement technologies for an even quieter ride, an innovative wraparound dashboard for improved comfort, and a reimagined driver's lounge that promotes productivity and relaxation. Experience the new Cascadia at your dealer or online at Freightliner.com.
1 lap to go here at Daytona with Matt Crafton leading the charge to turn 1.
Matt Crafton now faces a challenge 3 wide for the lead at Daytona. Everyone's leaning on each other off turn 2. And now they're beginning to crash. One truck goes sliding wildly. One truck is in the air. Matt Crafton upside down, comes back on all fours.
Caution and checkers are out. Final lap was underway. And Kaz Grala, the dutiful teammate, is going to go to victory lane for GMS Motorsports.
How about that? 2 straight for GMS Motorsports at Daytona. This time, it's Kaz Grala driving the Kiklos Olive Oil Chevy Silverado. And Kaz Grala joins us on the guest line now. Kaz, did I pronounce that right, or is Kiklos not correct? Is that right?
That is totally right, Kiklos.
So did you guys dump olive oil all over each other in victory lane, or what?
It definitely got a little bit slippery down there, that's for sure.
Well, congratulations, man. And this was one of the wildest races I think we've seen in a long time. But you were one of the guys who was able to get through all the carnage out there and come home with the victory. And it seemed like there was no safe place. We were just talking about both the Xfinity Series and Camping World Truck Series. The lead wasn't even a safe spot. Tell us what was going through your mind on those last couple of laps there trying to get yourself into the right spot.
Well, you know, we had that green-white checkered, and prior to that caution, I was running second. We were all single file. Johnny Sauter was leading. It appeared to me like we were potentially going to be riding home to a safe second-place finish, which I was stoked about for my first Speedway race. That really can't ask for a whole lot more than that. So I was hoping that would be the case, but then that green-white checkered came out, and the top lane had a lot of energy, and I basically got hung on the bottom, fell back quite a few rows, and unfortunately going down the back straightaway, I was thinking, oh, well, unfortunately, I think there goes my chance. Mm-hmm. So we're coming around on the front straight. I close back up, get right up bumper tight on Timothy Peters. They wave the white flag, and I'm figuring, well, anything goes on this last lap here. We're going to have to be aggressive. We're going to have to do what we can to make up any spots at all. So I'm pushing Timothy and just seeing if we can get this bottom line rolling. I think I was third in line on the bottom. So I'm thinking if we can get all the way down, then maybe I can get a third place finish, which I'd also be extremely excited about. Basically, if I could just leave there with minimal damage, I would have been a happy camper no matter what happened. And I knew I had a fast enough truck where if I was able to do that, I figured I'd finish fairly well. But then I started to see that 27 truck of Ben Rhodes spin out coming out of 2, and I knew I wasn't going to lift off the throttle. I kept that pin, pulled the wheel to the left, and just kind of crossed my fingers, hoping that everything would work out and I wouldn't get hit from behind. And sure enough, I squeaked through by about an inch, and I'm looking out my windshield. I didn't see anybody else in front of me. I'm like, did that really take everybody else around me? And then my spotter, Eddie DeHunt, came on the radio and said, "You are the race winner." And I think I asked, "Are you sure?" about 6 times before I actually believed it.
Kaz, one of the things you just mentioned was your spotter, Eddie DeHunt. You had the opportunity to work with him for the first time at a restrictor plate race the week before, the ARCA Series, which I believe you essentially ran to qualify yourself from a NASCAR standpoint to run the Truck Series. What goes in behind the scenes, because communication is so important, with you, Eddie, and the crew chief regarding a restrictor plate race?
Well, we had a lot of sit-down meetings leading up to the whole weekend in general, even before the ARCA race as well, and we really went over notes. Jerry went over things that he's learned in the past at Daytona, Eddie went over things that he's learned, and I kind of talked about what I had seen on video as far as what I had studied. We also discussed in detail exactly what to expect to hear on the radio from Eddie and how our communication was going to work, all that kind of stuff, just so that we were trying to go into this race putting ourselves at as small of a disadvantage as possible, because, of course, there are a lot of guys in the truck field that have run many laps on restrictor plate tracks and who have worked with their crew chiefs and spotters for years already. So we were just trying to do everything that was in our control to try to bridge that gap and see if we could go in on an even playing field as much as possible with everybody else. And I'd say by the start of the race, I felt like I pretty much had all the tools I needed other than the actual experience, the actual feeling of these races. And unfortunately, it's that feeling that might be the most important part, because your instincts and your decision-making come from experience and knowing what to do and what not to do. But luckily for me, in the first 99 laps of the race, I was able to gain enough experience to know at least what would be a good place to put my truck in on that very last lap, and it definitely paid off.
Absolutely it did. And youngest driver to win the pole at Daytona International Series, youngest winner at Daytona International Series, and the points leader. And now you get right back in the saddle and head to Atlanta for that doubleheader on Saturday, the same day with the Xfinity Series, and then you guys will have some downtime. With this momentum, what you're coming out of Daytona with, how important is it to keep that going and keep that moving in the right direction? You've got opportunity to get points now with the stages involved in the scoring this year. Heading into Atlanta, what kinds of things are going through your mind?
I think it's very important to keep the momentum rolling. I think if you're going to have a successful season where you're contending for the championship, you're going to have to be strong all year long. And I think the excitement of this race, I'm not sure if it's really ever going to wear off in my life, but I can say that starting this week, it's Monday morning, it's all business now going into Atlanta, just like any other race weekend. Daytona is now in the rearview mirror. It was a lot of fun, definitely the coolest experience of my life, but now we got to focus on Atlanta and see what we can do there. It's going to be a stacked field for sure. I think I looked at the entry list and saw 3 different Monster Energy Cup Series drivers, so it's not going to be an easy one, that's for sure. But if we can come out of there with another solid run, we'd be in really great shape heading into Martinsville for the 3rd race.
You know, you mentioned moving to Atlanta. One of the unique things, we only run a speedway race twice in the Truck Series, and you haven't been at one of the high bank mile and a halfs yet. How are you preparing differently for Atlanta than maybe you did for Speed Weeks at Daytona?
Well, I'm preparing in a very similar sense, actually. I mean, I'm still studying video and talking to Jerry and Eddie to figure out exactly what they know about that place. But the good thing, actually, about Atlanta is I got to test there about a month ago. I used one of my rookie tests, one of my less than 10 National Series tests there. So at least I do have a few laps around that place, and it is a more similar style of racing to short track racing than super speedway racing is. It's a little bit more in that direction. So I don't feel like I'm at quite as much of a disadvantage going into Atlanta as I did going into Daytona, but there's certainly going to be a lot of tough drivers in the field. So I'm just hoping to come out. If we can finish the race and log laps, I think we'll be able to come out with a top 10, maybe even a top 5, and that's all I can really ask for. If we have solid finishes like that and we keep putting ourselves in the position like we did at Daytona, eventually we're going to get another win, because that is just how this sport works. If you keep running up front, those things will come to you.
Absolutely, they will. Well, how's this sound? Points leader in the Camping World Truck Series. You get to enjoy it for just a few days before the pressure ramps up again. Kaz, congratulations on a strong run. First win at Daytona and first pole, man. That's got to be one of those situations where you'll pinch yourself for a few more days, I guess.
Maybe even a few more weeks. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, man. Thanks for your time. Congratulations.
Good job,
How about
man.
that? Yeah, that's great to see a guy right out of the box like that, and you think, I just want to bide my time and do well and not mess anything up, and instead he wins.
So way back when I started spotting a long time ago.
Wow, did they have like Flintstone wheels back then?
My first win
Yeah.
was the Daytona 500 at Michael Ultra.
How about that?
I remember it because it's such a huge race.
Yeah.
Kaz Grala now has that ring, has that verbiage of champion, Daytona champion in the Camping World Truck Series that he will carry with him for the rest of his life. It's a tattoo, whether it's on his skin or not, that he earned and he will carry with him forever.
Absolutely he will. Don't forget, by the way, Kurt Busch, the Daytona 500 champion, is going to join us on NASCAR Live Tuesday night at 7 Eastern, but you can call a little bit early, 10 o'clock on Tuesday. If you're watching on Monday, call 1-800-2NASCAR, that's 262-7227, and chat with Kurt Busch tomorrow, and that'll be aired on NASCAR Live Tuesday night. We've got a lot more here on Motorsports Monday. Stick around.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
If you or your family love the freedom of swimming any time of year, if you love sharing good times and making great memories, or if you want one of the best total body workouts ever, then it's time to discover the 3 C's of your very own endless pool. The first C is convenience. Imagine swimming year-round in your own private swimming pool, installed indoors or out, just steps away. The second C is comfort. With sculpted spa seats and your own adjustable temperature, you can easily escape the stress of your day. And the third C is cost. Your endless pool is an affordable luxury at a fraction of the cost of a regular pool. And here's a bonus C, choice. Because when you call for your free Endless Pool Idea Kit, you'll receive information on our full line of pools to suit your budget and location.
Call now for free information. 800-283-8089. 800-283-8089.
You have been a 3-time runner-up in the Daytona 500. Now you are a Daytona 500 winner. First, your initial reactions and emotions.
There's nothing predictable about this race anymore. And the more years that have gone by and I didn't win, I kept trying to go back to patterns that I had seen in the past. And my mirror fell off with 30 laps to go, and I couldn't even see out the back. And I said, you know, that's an omen. Just throw caution to the wind. The more unpredictability that keeps unfolding at the Daytona 500, well, I predicted it, and it just got crazy and wild, and I'm so proud of all the drivers at the end. We put on a show for a full fuel run. Nobody took each other out, and it was one of the smartest chess games I've seen out there, and we got lucky. But I'll tell you, all that hard work that Ford, SHR, and everybody put into this, this Ford Fusion is in Daytona's victory lane.
How about that? He doesn't have a side mirror. He's flipping all his switches, trying to make sure he's got enough fuel to get to the end as guys in front of him are running out, and somehow, some way, it works out.
And Tony Raines is in his ear, guiding him through around the traffic, and he was able, Kurt Busch is able to predict the unpredictable, is what he said.
Is that even
Yeah.
possible? We got just a little bit of time left in the show. Quickly, let's look ahead for Atlanta. We've got another triple header. It's a double header on Saturday, the Xfinity Series and Camping World Truck Series, and then the Cup Series, Monster Energy Cup Series on Sunday.
One of the greatest tickets we can get. We got 3 races in 2 days, but the little nostalgia, this will be the last race before they go back and repave Atlanta.
And so many drivers were saying, don't ever change this track, and now they're doing it.
Now they're doing it. We're going to be racing top to bottom. Cars are going to be slipping and sliding. Tire management is very important.
And the even lower downforce package makes
exactly
its debut.
Right. And so it makes more important about tire management. We do have the new stages we have to deal with the last time on the old pavement, though.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we should see some real action there as well with that even lower downforce package as we mentioned. Don't forget, folks, once again, Kurt Busch, the Daytona 500 champion, is going to be a guest on NASCAR Live. You can hear that 7 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday night, but Tuesday morning at 10 Eastern, you can call with your questions to talk to Kurt as well at 1-800-2NASCAR. That's 1-800-262-7227. Stick with us all week long on social media. We'll keep you up to speed when we head for Atlanta. He's Joey. I'm Woody. We'll see you right back here next week. Head to Outback and get some bloomin' onions, will you?
MRN Motorsports Monday is presented by Outback Steakhouse. Tune in every Monday for another exciting episode right here on MotorRacingNetwork.com. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand in the MotorRacingNetwork.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network.